When Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma were handed a T20 I recall to the Indian cricket team, one of the first questions that many people asked was where exactly is it that Virat Kohli will bat? That is because there is often a little bit of confusion as to where exactly you can have Kohli play at his best. Whilst he would often bat as the first drop or number 3 for India, for his IPL franchise for the longest of times, he has been the opener, and of course he's had, let's say, different degrees of success in both positions, but for the Indian team he's barely opened, at least in the shortest format of the game. However, multiple news reports have now suggested that that is in fact the role that has been earmarked for Kohli in the Indian T20I team for the T20 World Cup, and understandably caused some consternation given that it basically sidelines two youngsters in Yashasvi Jaiswal and Shubman Gill, both of whom have done very well in that particular role in the shortest format of the game over the past year or so. Both of them could have been sure shot starters, but will in fact be sidelined for Rohit and Virat opening at that level. However, there is also an argument to be made that perhaps, as far as Virat is concerned, if you've already taken him in the team, then maybe going with him as an opener is not just the right decision, but maybe even the only decision or the only position you could have been batting him in. And that is despite the fact that in recent times his numbers haven't exactly been record shattering or anything like that. He's had a decent 2024. Yes, in 2023 there were at times he was middling, but if you go over his runs, and in particular in two particular phases of the game, the power plays as well as the middle overs, you'll understand why exactly it is that it's better he plays at the top. Let's quickly take a look at some of the numbers. Now, if you're looking at Kohli in the IPL power play since the 2023 season, his numbers are decent, even though, of course, it can be much better than where it's at. He scored about 467 runs in the power play at his strike rate of nearly 140, 139.82 to be more precise, but that average 77.83, what it shows you is, aside from him getting a good percentage of runs in the power play, he also more often than not tends to back through and get to the next phase and potentially even the next phase of the game. Now, T20I can be divided into three major phases. There's overs 1 to 6, which is the power plays. Then there's overs 7 to 15, which is of course the middle overs, and then 16 to 20 will be the death. One advantage that Kohli brings you is that he can bat through, even though his strike rate and scoring ability goes down significantly in the middle overs. Now, if you're looking at Kohli in the IPL's middle overs since 2023, as you'll see, the numbers do drop. Instead of he's still getting 400 plus runs, but the strike rate has dropped down to 137.42 and the average has dropped down to 48.55. What it's suggesting is not only is he scoring less runs, but more often than not, he will get out in the middle overs, whether it be in the latter parts or whether it be, at overs 10, 11 types. He will end up getting out in the middle overs, or even if he bats through, it won't be as often as it would be as he bats through, say, from the power plays to the middle overs, which is totally understandable. And despite that, when he does make it to the death, his numbers are very good. In the death, in this season in particular, he's been striking it at about 190, which is perfectly good when you realize that he's batted through, would be well set, has assessed the conditions, then can absolutely go hell for leather in the final few overs, which is when the pressure is on the bowler the most. And in fact, it is these middle overs numbers which make it clear that perhaps he's best suited to being an opener, because what happens when Kohli opens the batting is that he'll get you off to a flyer of a start, score plenty of runs, slow down a bit in the middle overs, then once again pick up the pace significantly in the death. If he's coming into bat in the middle overs, then the expectation will be that he has to accelerate and ensure that there's no lull, something that does not happen with Kohli because his scoring rate does tend to go down, especially if you look at his numbers against spinners. In recent seasons of the IPL, if you're going by an average, his strike rate against spin is a little under 120, which is not ideal, especially when you consider that most teams will be employing their spinners in the middle overs. So, whilst many would argue that maybe perhaps not recalling a Rohit or Kohli for the T20 World Cup would have been the best idea, given India had a pretty settled young core for the T20 World Cup, now that you've recalled them, the best you can do is actually make them open, because whilst Kohli's strike rate might be a little bit underwhelming, he does at the very least guarantee you plenty of runs and can anchor in innings, allowing everyone else around him to play with plenty more freedom. That is the only benefit. Of course, as many people have also shown you now, that template is kind of overrated, but it's a better template to go with than having Kohli play at number 3 and potentially slow the innings down even more. But that's just my opinion based on the stats that I've just presented to you. What do you guys think? Would you like to see Kohli open or bat at 3? You can let us know that in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, tap that bell icon, follow us also on social media. We're on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. Don't forget to download the AajTak app, and if you're already on the channel, go ahead, check out some other videos we've done as well. For now, from my side though, it's goodbye.